So let's talk submarines, nuclear submarines to be specific. So one of the nuclear submarines has arrived at the Middle East per the Pentagon. This was today, November 5th, 2023, stating an Ohio class submarine arrived in the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility. Now, earlier this year, we sent some to South Korea in basically posturing defense for continuing threats against North Korea. So, the purpose of nuclear submarines is for defense and offense. They're pretty significant preparations for war moves. So, the U.S. officials said the deployment of the submarine, the USS Florida, now the one that I just showed you is not been identified which one is which. Okay, they said that in the post. They don't know which one it was. But it was meant to deter Iran and maintain the stability of one of the world's busiest shipping lanes in which millions of dollars in commercial goods, oil, and gas are transported every day. Now, that was back in April 2023. So that was one of the reasons that they sent them. But this one was just arrived today, which they travel about 35 miles an hour, 30 knots. But people don't have to think, oh, they're planning to go over there and attack. It is usually the first stage in posturing for defense, but they can provide other abilities as far as, offense. This is not known, this one here that was shown today, does not know if it is one of the 4 submarines that carry Tomahawk cruise missiles or of the 14 submarines that carry the Trident II ballistic missiles. But it's a significant addition to the American deterrence force in the region and the ability to attack if necessary. So not to get this one mixed up with the one that was identified back in April. It was specifically identified. This one is not. Of course, they don't want to know exactly what they're carrying or able to do. So in the Stars and Stripes, they talked a little bit more about this specific nuclear submarine. They said that it is rare for the Defense Department to publicize its submarine's movements. Obviously, they should not be. The short announcement made via Twitter provided few details, including the name of the vessel and whether it's carrying cruise missiles or nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles. So this notice comes 2 days after the Navy announced the 2 carrier strike groups, the Ford and Eisenhower, launched aircraft and practiced missile defense during a 3-day exercise in the Mediterranean Sea. The show of strength coincides with the high-level diplomacy aimed at preventing a wider war in the Middle East. They don't want war, and basically they're just flexing their muscles at each other, which the attacks on the American bases in the Middle East have been pretty significant. We have gone on the offense on some of the Iranian bases, but overall, that's just basically a tit for tat. It's not an actual war. It's more of a conflict. I don't think either sides really want war, and pray to God that they don't have war, because it will lead to nuclear war, and that will be pretty much the end of the world once nuclear war begins with the amount of nuclear weapons that are currently in the earth. And thankfully, Blinken does stress the United States supports Israel's right to defense against Hamas, but noted that how it accomplishes that goal matters. Israel must take every possible measure to prevent civilian casualties. Well, okay, and Hamas needs to be recognized that they continue to attack Israel. Thankfully, Israel does have a good defense system. However, the fact that they're continuing to throw targets and rockets at Israel is very concerning, and I don't see the American news, even in the military news, mentioning that. And I think it's important that every news article that comes out talking about preventing casualties must also mention the fact that they're continuing to shoot rockets at Israel. So, at the very least, the populace will understand why it defends Israel's right to defend itself and fund them because of the continued rockets that are continuing to be shot, not just by Hamas, but also by Gazans, as was reported yesterday, November 4th. While they were having a rally to free the hostages, Gazans, not Hamas, Gazans were reported to be firing at Israel. So, what do these nuclear weapons, these nuclear submarines, carry? They have two variants. They're either guided missiles like the Tomahawk cruise missile or those that carry nuclear capable ballistic missiles. 4 Ohio class guided missile submarines can carry up to 154 Tomahawks with a range of 1,000 miles. 14 nuclear capable submarines can carry up to 20 ballistic missiles with range of up 4,000 miles. So this one was identified as Ohio type nuclear submarine. It is pretty significant that for the first time in 42 years, a submarine visit in July when USS Kentucky deployed to the South Korea for a port call, making the first visit of a nuclear capable American submarine to the country in 42 years. So that is pretty significant. And now that they're sending them to the Middle East, they are preparing. And it may not just be that they're preparing for more attacks, because Iran has been attacking at military bases, and so this is a significant defense position. But there are also things other than just war that they also need to defend. We must not forget what Saddam Hussein did with all the oil in Iraq. I mean, there's other commercial things that they can have the ability to defend against, and just having it there and posturing there may be a deterrent to some other things that they could do. But needless to say, these are not light moves at all. And the fact that this was, pretty much shipped out within a month from when this war started, is we don't know what's going on with the intelligence agencies and what they know behind the scenes. But I would definitely say please keep praying for peace, and for somehow or another, some way, that they will come to stopping of this war. But the fact of the matter is, prophecy in the Bible says that there will be armies encamping about Jerusalem, and that the nations will gather for war. And this is end times. It's happening. There's never been so many countries trying to be at war at one time, and significant events like this. It's not a light thing. It's not a light thing at all. And I feel bad for those who don't know the Bible, don't have any ability to recognize all the things that are happening in Israel right now. I feel bad for them, because it is so, it's like before our eyes right now. All the demand, all the marches around the world demanding to annihilate Israel and demanding to wipe Israel off the map and just basically kill all Jews. And it's just it's end times right before our eyes.